So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michele Tomea from Thai Italian Chamber of Commerce. I would like to welcome our partner for today from FedEx. Actually, it's a great honor to have with us the Managing Director of Federal Express Thailand, Mr. Tien-Long Woon, together with the other speakers of today, Head of Sales for Federal Express Thailand, Mr. Sitthichai Mahajuntanaporn. We are happy to have this event with them. And as you know from the presentation, we're going to talk about Thailand import and export updates, the leader of logistic management, and FedEx future capabilities. We are connected today from Bangkok, and our guest speaker, they will give us about an hour of their time. Just very quickly, I just want to give you like a quick presentation about the Managing Director, Mr. Tien-Long Woon. Graduated in his Bachelor from Engineering in Monash University in Australia, and is currently Managing Director of FedEx Express Thailand, where he brings 12 years of experience in the logistic industry. From process engineering, operation excellence, and operation management to oversee overall country management and development. During a time when customer needs are evolving, Mr. Woon's skills as a problem solver is essential for knowing what customers need and finding the right solution, particularly digital ones. By preparing for the future, Mr. Woon can help his team drive the business forward. Talking about the second guest speaker of today, as you know, we have the head of sale of FedEx, Mr. Sitthichai Mahajuntanaporn. He is responsible for driving the growth of Thailand sales and playing a crucial role in leading country team and change management during business transformation. In his past years, he has been instrumental in setting up foundation of Thailand sales team, which resulted in record growth of Thailand revenue. And with his vast experience in key sales management role and 17 years experience in fields, he has deep understanding and about the complex needs in Thai market. In his previous role, he serves as a sales and marketing director of TNT Express, and he turned around domestic sales to strong, doable digit growth despite intense competition in Thailand domestic express market. Sitthichai holds a Master Business Administration from Loyola University in Chicago. And with no much further ado, I will give us our virtual floor with our first speaker, Mr. Woon. Please, Mr. Woon, you can share your presentation. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and good afternoon to everyone. Firstly, thank you for having FedEx here. We are really interested in sharing, the general development of the market, and most importantly, I'm looking and excited for the Q&A sessions, to help you all expand your business and address the current queries that you might have. Next slide, please. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about what we have observed and, the information that we've gotten. Year over year, this has been one of the most, tremendous growth, both from an import perspective and an export perspective. And the thing is that the trends are slightly different. So Thailand major trade partners, we are broken down into 3 different regions. There's the major Asia region, which we trade a lot with. Then there's Europe and there's North America. If you look at the way it's is at the moment, we saw within the Asia region, there's a lot of more imports versus export to the key country, for example, Japan and China. Both of them have seen import of materials and finished goods from these 2 countries versus the export. So import is growing faster, but at the same time, at least both direction, there is growth. Within the ASEAN market, which is very important for Thailand, the data shows that so when we look at the ASEAN market, right, we see a lot of imports from the ASEAN region while they're still in an export growth. So this part here has changed a little bit. Now, going out further, the trend is a bit different. Going to Europe, we see a much stronger export from Thailand to Europe versus the import. So, and the same has been seen when you look at North America. Of late, we see a huge surge in demand to export products to North America, while imports from the North America has reduced. So overall, this further strengthens the supply chain has been reset as COVID continued to upset the traditional ways that the trade flows typically work. So this is a piece of information that we find very interesting. And we see this trend across multiple markets that there's a big change in the major trade lanes. And this is something to take note of for your businesses. Over to the next slide. So when we look at the commodities that have been traded, right, generally speaking, from an export perspective, most items like computer parts, our automotive sector, our rubber sector, and air conditioning and all the maintenance part has increased, while jewelry has reduced and in export year over year in comparison, right? And this kind of recovery has not been seen in Thailand in many years when it comes to the export. However, when we zoom down to Europe as a market, the trend is different from the general Thailand trend, where we see a huge increase in jewelry export year over year, whereas the rest of it is less significant compared to the general Thailand trend. So that again reflects that what we were talking about, that the trending between regions is very different, and we don't see a common growth rate across the board. So this is something to take note of if your business and how your customer base may be changing. Over to the next slide, please. So I'm sure we have been living in this for almost 2 years now. COVID-19 has definitely disrupted the global supply chain massively. Organizations are accelerating their digital transformation. And the main thing is customers' behavior has been changing. And I'm not just saying about B2C customers. I'm not just saying about the end consumers. Customers from businesses, their demands and requirements as we monitor how our customers' relationship between shipper and consignee has evolved, we also know the requirements have been changing. So next slide, Kunya. So I want to take time to talk about 3 ways the companies in Asia can really capitalize on e-commerce. I'm going to take some time to talk about this. It's very important to identify the right market for your product. As I talked about just now, consumer behavior and customers' behavior are changing. I think you must be able to identify the viable market segment for you to start playing in. And this continuously evolve. And why do I say that, right? Think about it, right? 3 years ago, I would say that when we buy groceries, there will be less chances that you will actually buy groceries online. But COVID itself, on the basic necessity of going to the market and feeling the fresh foods that you buy and touch, has now evolved into a platform where you will take delivery online. And across the spectrum of businesses, this has changed. What's important is also then to mimic a very seamless experience when people go online. I think you have personally have a very good example and good experience of what is a good website, what's a good interaction with a particular application, and what's not so good from your banking and everything. And therefore, you have to put yourself in your customer's shoe as they maneuver through your system to make an order, to make a request for the service. How do you ensure you have that seamless customer experience? And the key thing is to ensure that you intervene when the experience is about to go off. So we must be able to identify when the customer needs help, right? You through a little chatbot, if a person is staying too long on a particular page, maybe they're struggling with something. How do you flag that out and intervene? And that's where AI and human interaction all comes into play to make sure that we provide the best seamless digital customer experience. Lastly, if you're trading, if you're selling something online, be it to an end customer, be it to another factory, if you're a supplier of parts, your logistic partner is a very important party. I always tell my team, we are in a very unique situation because we are in logistics, we have 2 customers, the paying party and the receiving party. There's no other business that will equally value the feedback of both sides. And for us, providing door-to-door service, as you ship, we want to represent you in the best manner to your customer who's receiving the goods, and making sure, for example, their clearance procedures are followed to the T to make sure that it's seamless and they get their shipments on time. And that is what is important, that you select the right logistics partner. Over to the next slide, please. And as we talk about the evolving trend, I think it's important that we recognize that how data is being used and what we need to take notice of what the future state may look like. So 80% of the app developers in China are talking about how the consumers or the people using the app, how are their information are being monitored and their personal data are being used. I think we don't only see this in China, we see this in Europe, we see this across the world, that personal information has now become a very, very important element as people use the devices. Convenience is important, but the data that they collect on a particular person has also become a key issue that it wants to be monitored. And the next two things is really talking about personal life interacting with, I think, the things that happen around us. When I say personal, is that the two things you see here is health issues, right? Whether the wearable can detect personal health issues, people are making an investment to ensure that they get the best information on their health. And lastly, I think with I just spoke to this about my team, is really about the instantaneous of technology. When I say instantaneous, you talk about Instagram, you talk about Google getting information. Sometimes there is just too much overload of information. Some are right information, some are less than ideal information, and this really consumes the energy of the people that look it through, and it could cause mental stress. And that's the same thing that when we engage our customers, we need to think carefully, how do we appear? Do we become an annoyance? So digitalization is good, but digitalization for the sake of digitalization can have an adverse impact on your brand and what you stand for. So consumers are not just looking for affordability, they need to make sure that they're well protected, the safety is there, and the durability and reliability of the goods are protected. Move on to the next one. So we can't talk about anything now, any webinar, without talking about COVID-19. We're proud to just give us some time to share a little bit about what FedEx has done for COVID-19. Over the last 18 months, we have shipped more than 10,000 humanitarian shipments, right? More than 80 tons of PPE, kilotons of PPE, of masks and gloves and everything that we have sent out across the globe. More than 25 countries, and vaccine distributed across the world. Of late, if you see, both Vietnam and Korea have received vaccine, and FedEx have participated to support the transportation of vaccine. So we want to play our role in this global society to make sure that we are responsible global citizens to support the society as well as the countries that we serve. And that's our commitment that we make. Next slide, please. Sitthichai. And more important, once COVID is done, there is one big thing that we all need to tackle, and it's about the carbon footprint that we lay. And FedEx is committed to carbon neutrality. It's not something new for us. We have always been investing back into the business to reduce our carbon footprint, from upgrading our aircrafts, going electric with our vehicles, improving our packaging. There's so many angles that we have tackled to make sure that we reduce our carbon footprint. And we have made a bold decision that by 2040, we will go carbon neutral. And that's a commitment as a corporation to ensure future generations are well protected and they have an equal shot like what we have now. And that is what FedEx represents. And we would like to believe that we can contribute back to the society. So enough of me on the global view. I'll pass it to Khun Sitthichai to share with you all the next details. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Khun Woon. Khun Sitthichai, you need to unmute your microphone. We cannot hear you at the moment.
The screen also disappeared. Sitthichai.
Yeah. Let me reshare again. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, right. Thank you, Tien-Long. Thank you, Michele. Yeah, I gave you a little bit of the FedEx Corporation, letting you know our organization. Talking about the FedEx Corporation, actually we have quite a number of operating companies under the FedEx Corporation, like FedEx Express, FedEx Ground, also FedEx Freight, and also some other operating companies. We have member around 500,000 members around the world, and we are 70 billion, nearly 70 billion revenue company. FedEx Express is the 50% in terms of the revenue of the FedEx Corporation, and we have team member around 250,000 team members around the world, and now we have aircraft around 680 aircraft, and we are handle around 6 million shipment per day. Yeah, the good news about the FedEx Express is we continue to grow our business, and then in this fiscal year we are expanding our network. Yeah, we are implementing around 6 new intercontinental flight, from Asia to North America and Europe. FedEx Express have the hubs and also the facility around the world. In Asia, we have the hub in Guangzhou, and also in Japan, Tokyo and Osaka, and also in Shanghai. And talking about the FedEx Express and TNT in Europe, we have around 72 European hubs, and also the team members are 50,000 team members in Europe. Yeah, we have the 950 weekly flights, and our 3 major air hubs in Paris, Cologne, and Lille. One of the FedEx capability in Europe is, apart from the air network, we also have the extensive road network in Europe. We reach more European customer, and then we also have the wide range of product offering to the customer these days. For FedEx Express service, we have the core service as an international express. If you look at the left columns, you will see the service under the FedEx Express. We have the international priority, which is our core service, and we also have international priority freight, which is we handle the shipment more than 68 kilos. We also have the FedEx International Economy and Economy Freight as well. And apart from that, in our portfolio, we still have the TNT Express product and service. We have 9 a.m. Express, 10 a.m. Express, noon, and also the Express under TNT service. Yeah. Okay, we are also pleased to give you the special offer for our members, for the TICC members. If you look at the QR code, if you have the mobile device, you can actually have the scan the QR code to open a new account with us. We will offer you the 45% discount. Yeah, and you also have a chance to win the Central Gift voucher. Yeah. The promo code, please don't forget to input the promo code TICC45, and you enjoy our special offer on this one.
Of course, thank you very much again for your presentation. We really appreciate. And today we have with us several attendees. It's one of the most crowded webinars that we had this year. I will invite also all the participants to drop your inquiries in the chat, if you have anything specific to ask. And while we're waiting, perhaps something that I would like to ask. We saw that, especially because of the pandemic situation, the price of the shipping increased a lot. We understood as a business hub for many companies that maybe the shipping cost has increased due to a lack of ships or a lack of container. There are many issues that are affecting business worldwide. But on the other hand, we see that many countries are reopening their boundaries, for example, Europe or United States. From your point of view, in this field, what is your feeling? Do you see like the trend of increased prices keep going up, or you feel that by having the reopening, the price will be again more, let's say, more convenient in the next months to come? What is your overview, on this point?
So we can't comment so much on the sea freight. I'll talk a little bit more on the air. I think if you look at the belly space that IATA has published, right? Definitely year-over-year we see a huge shrinkage, and the stringent requirement for our pilots and basically a lot of airline pilots have to go through, right? Those procedures have definitely caused a lot of massive change in our operations from an airline perspective, and that necessarily translate into cost pressures that we have to charge more. Looking at what caused the price to go up, then I would naturally say as countries open up and our partnering airlines, which we used to collaborate with, would come back into action as they carry tourists or business travelers back into respective countries, right? I think that collaborations will be able to restart back at the scale that was almost non-existent in the last 18 months, that I would believe will trickle down some benefits to shippers or recipients as they manage their supply chain, right? It's always a function of supply and demand. So I think I look forward to borders being reopened so that we can be more effective, when we look for solution for customers. Because the last 18 months, a lot of things we had to try to go by ourselves, and we know that that's not always the best way to do things.
Thank you very much, Mr. Woon. One other thing that I noticed in your presentation, you mentioned a lot about the export of jewelry. And of course, Thailand is a big producer of jewelry for several countries, several brands all over the world. When we talk about shipping valuable goods, as a FedEx, you can, let's say, connect the shipping to kind of insurance package for the clients. It's something that comes together with FedEx service. What would you like to share with us and to our business companies?
I mean, at a high level, I think Sitthichai will be able to add more. Yes, we have a high value process and the necessary review of the liabilities that goes with this. And more important, that we hope that it never get triggered that we need to incur the liabilities. We would like to believe that the years of experience we have to ensure our security procedures are solid enough to address those concerns. And I can tell you there's a lot of monitoring and scannings as well as CCTVs to make sure that we handle this carefully and we're able to address the loopholes. But in terms of giving the customer the ease of mind, I think I will pass over to Sitthichai to illustrate a little bit more. Sitthichai, over to you.
Yeah, no, actually talking about the shipping jewelry to Europe, apart from the export procedure, we also need to look into the network as well. Yeah, delivery network. Yeah, I think with the FedEx now having the very strong air network and road network in Europe, that means we can also have the reach to the end customer faster and even more efficient than the competition. Yeah. So if I want to highlight, I think I understand that, nowadays, customer always very focused on the e-commerce, right? Yeah, I think when we talk about the e-commerce, we definitely looking to the express company who have the capability to deliver shipment, and have reached throughout Europe. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Another topic that we see, especially COVID has implemented this channel of doing shopping, e-commerce. We saw, let's say, on the media that, for example, in the United States and recently also in Europe, you can purchase on e-commerce platform with special packages. In some cases, you can even receive your products on the same day you order it. And how do you see this type of development of service in Southeast Asia? Do you think it's going to be become like a regional market in terms of shipping goods through e-commerce, or you think it will take more time, perhaps because AEC is still matching and managing logistic challenges at the moment? What is your vision in this?
So when we look at the e-commerce market in Southeast Asia, it's one of the fastest growing region. Individually, from a domestic standpoint, e-commerce is growing, and we look at the massive population we have in Southeast Asia. We are actually bigger than North America, if I remember correctly, if my numbers don't get me wrong. So when you look at the population and the internet penetration rate, right, I always joke with the team, which is a true thing. All of them have 2 handphones in the office. Why? I believe there's called work-life balance, but I don't see the point. But they have 2 handphones, and that tells you that the penetration rate and what they conduct and buy online, it's tremendous. I think if you look at the number last year, most of the countries have more than 50% growth in the digital arena of B2C. Now we talk about cross-border, right? So there's the domestic consumption of B2C, which we know is growing, right, by the likes of a marketplace and everything. Then we talk about cross-border. I think the challenge is getting a framework within Southeast Asia for each country to have the same regulatory approach to facilitate cross-border movement. I think that's one of the challenges, but I do think that it will be overcome. The transporting goods between Malaysia and Singapore, for example, as a long-standing trade partner via the road network, has been very solid, has been very encouraging. We are seeing changes being made to make sure that between Thailand and Malaysia, we continue to improve on that. I know that's a great job by the Thai government and the Malaysian government to try to see what they can do. So those kind of trade talks, those kind of will open up, ability to shorten lead time. So let's say you set up a warehouse in Thailand that can serve the Southeast Asian market, or you set up something in Malaysia that can serve the Southeast Asian market. It really helps benefit the region as a whole. I do think that we will develop in that arena, and I look forward to that day coming. Right. So that's my personal view on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Woon. I invite also the participant, please feel free to drop your question in the chat. I will be happy to share inquiries with our guest today. In the meantime, talking about, for example, the shipping of luxury goods, mentioning about jewelry or brands, traveling in Southeast Asia, you can see like a sensitive differences between what you can find in a mall. For example, if you travel to Singapore, you can purchase several brands. If you go, for example, to Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, you find brands, luxury brands that are not available in Bangkok, for example, and so on. So this is the same in Ho Chi Minh City. Talking about the importing of products from outside Southeast Asia, do you think we can overcome also this discrepancy about the distribution of this type of products, let's say luxury products, For example, we saw that, for example, in Thai market, the products made in Italy are very much appreciated, but it's not so easy to bring all these luxury brands into Thailand. For example, in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia, you see that the presence of this made in Italy luxury brand, for example, they are much more available. What is your idea, your vision about this? Is it because of the import duty, or it's because of the consumer habits that requires only certain brands? And how FedEx can manage these expensive products again in, for example, from Europe, from the United States into Southeast Asia or Thailand?
Well, this is firstly, I must clarify, I'm no fashion expert. All right, so I'll do my best to share a little bit of the experience that we have. So I think each market, the size, when we deal with a lot of fashion companies as they try to enter a new market or expand their brand, there are a couple of models they use, and I think it's about how much people would actually buy and how receptive of it, right? I think Singapore, for one, most people, it's a place that people go for shopping. So other than that, there are also like tourists that goes there prior to COVID to get high quality products. They have that finer taste for some of the more luxurious brands. What we have done in the past is that with the principles that we work either in the US or the Europe, right? When we bring in products, we have a specific product which we call the international priority distribution. So that means you can ship in by bulk, and we break bulk once, and then we will deliver to the end customers, right? So to test out the market, right? So we work out so that you don't need to have a physical office within the context of, let's say in Thailand, right? And we try to keep the clearance process as simple as possible and distribute it to your end customer, but they don't need to worry about the duty and tax, everything. So we have to find ways to help customer penetrate in the most seamless way. It goes back to what I said earlier about digitalization. How do we keep that process seamless? And in this part here where you are dealing with the end consumer, so one party is a business and one party is a consumer, it's really important that the process that the consumer receives is as seamless as possible with minimum hassle, right? They don't want to know what's about the duty and tax. After they pay, they just want to get their product on time. They don't want to be called, do you have an import permit or anything? So we have to work with the with our shippers to make sure that we establish that, and talking about some countries, leather goods, it's not easy to import. So it also drives down to that, right? What kind of criteria there is, or if the country itself is, has a lot of fashion export, then you will have a lot of challenges bringing in such things into that country, right? They may have non-tariff barriers that are set up. So with a really general context, that's what we try to do. That's what we try to explore. We try to help go into market on a minimum cost and see what we can render to the customer.
Yeah, actually, I just want to supplement that, the fashion or the luxury is also one of the segment that we are working on right now. And talking about the fashions, right, and the luxury items, usually a lot of customers in the market, they are looking for the secure transport. Yeah, because they want to make sure, because the item, the commodity value is very high. Yeah, so they look for the service provider who make sure that we can transport or we can deliver the shipment in good condition and also in very secure way, right? And one of the thing is to ensure that I think service provider also need to have what we call the closed loop. Yeah, meaning that from end to end is supposed to be handled and handled by the same service provider. Yeah, because if you look at the service provider in the market, right, you can actually the first mile you can use a one party, and then the average you can use another party, and once you come to Thailand, you clear the shipment and you use a different party. Yeah, with this kind of thing, usually is a little bit disconnecting, in terms of the service, the experience for the customer. Yeah, the closed loop. Yeah, if we handle, end to end for the customer, customer feels safer. Yeah, they also they're also impressed with the experience that they have. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And another question about the infrastructure. We saw, for example, in China and also in Southeast Asia, we are talking about the One Belt, One Road for the transportation of goods. Also, Thailand itself is putting a lot of effort in, let's say, updating all the infrastructure related to the network of ground transportation. And you saw, for example, many projects about even the fast train. And in your case, as a FedEx, you think in the next future, the fast train transport is going to be a competitor of the service of FedEx, or can become a partner? Whether it will take 5 years to 15 years. What is your vision about fast train transportation?
So firstly, I would say that the network design that we use at FedEx, we started off by and large an airline. And as you see, Sitthichai's sharing just now, right? We have an extensive road network in Europe, and we have an extensive road network in Asia. So to give a to illustrate it, is from China, we truck all the way down to Singapore, vice versa. So we already have a network that utilizes the road, which is called our FedEx Asia Road Network, to complement our air network. Now, is there something in between? Definitely, there's a place for other modes of transport to come into picture. I think that's what we recognized a long time ago, that there's not just one way to connect for the customers. You know, whatever complements the network, we will explore. So on the high-speed rail and all those details, I think it's very premature now to say, you know, how would I think it will work immediately, right? Because there's been a lot of talk about this for quite a while. But I can assure you that, you know, we will definitely need to explore when the solution has been presented. How can we use to complement our business? You know, just now I said about working with other airlines, right? We work with passenger airlines, and it's because we always look for the best efficiency so that we can give our customer the right solution at the right price, right? So that's the key that we have always looked at, to make sure that the solution, right? So the means there could be other means as well, and that's how I would look at the network that we have. You know, how it would evolve basically.
No, thank you for sharing. Yes, probably it's a bit premature to talk about this, but yes, we see like probably there is in the upcoming years a lot of innovation in the infrastructure, for not only for Thailand, I would say for Southeast Asia in general, and hopefully also after this crisis for the pandemic, we see more business to come back. Also from other continents. This is everything that everyone wish for. And may I ask something perhaps more into details? I heard from some company that FedEx can also insure a product, goods that you ship from different continents, and you can give like a premium service. For example, like a quick custom clearance, but also, let's say, confidentiality of the goods, and etc. Is something that you would like to share more about this type of services that FedEx can actually provide and offer to corporate clients?
Sorry, Michele, can you repeat the question again?
Yes, I heard from some of our company in our network that FedEx has a good service in custom clearance and confidentiality in shipping goods from country to country, continents to continents. Looking at your offer is very competitive, keeping the confidentiality of, for example, documents, but also like a speed track in custom clearance. It's something that, for example, can be like a signature service of FedEx, or anything that you might share about this type of offer?
Oh, actually, I think that's the bare minimum that we do. Our door-to-door service has always included custom clearance. And I think when you deal with the information, confidentiality is number one. So I think hence to the presentation earlier, we have recognized that information our customers is very important. And we spend a lot of money on our systems to make sure that the info is secured and is not being used for any other means. And custom clearance, that trust that we have with our, with the authorities in each country that we operate in, right? Whether it's Royal Thai Customs in Thailand or in US and in Europe, right? I think that's the key to it, right? Once we have established our credible custom clearance process that shows that, we are above the board, that enables us to work with the authorities to facilitate faster clearance. So you heard earlier that I say to get trucking all the way down from China to Singapore, there's a lot of hurdles to clear the borders to make sure that we have the right process set up. And that's how over the years we have strengthened our position in the market, I believe, with our ability to handle not just your customs requirement, but also from a regulator standpoint, what do you want us to check to make sure our customers are doing the right thing? I think that's the key thing that we believe is extremely important. It's a level of trust and integrity that we play between the two parties that enable us to move forward and get customers' shipment on time, out, and without any information leaking out. That's definitely the bare minimum we must do, in my opinion.
Yeah, I also want to supplement that. Usually that being compliant is something that our customer always looking for, right? I think we working with a lot of the global companies, and sometimes the compliance is very important. Yeah, because they also want to make sure that we import that shipment in the right way, or in the compliant way. Yeah, this is even sometimes it's more important than you deliver faster than the competition.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can approach the last round of questions. We are reaching our hour of presentation. Maybe since there are no other questions, I would like to ask, talking about future innovation in logistics, or maybe more than innovation, adaptation. We saw in the last 2 years, because of COVID, every business has to adapt in a new situation. What do you think, or let's say, what type of talents you are scouting for? What is the future of logistics at the moment? If you should suggest, if you want to suggest something for new generation, for schools and university, talking about logistics challenges, what would you suggest from your point of view for having innovative and faster services?
Yeah. So in the logistics industry that we're in now, first thing that we came to recognize is that we can't fly our planes any faster than it is, right? The planes are already at the optimum level that they can fly at. So I think in the innovation that will come in the next 5 years or so, they talk a lot about automating processes within the logistics, right? Some of it are very normal. For example, like customer service. So across the board, I think every company is trying to automate this and then upskill their employees to do more value-add tasks. So that's the basic that I think all service industries are going to. Then we got the digitalization. So I think the trade documents that you talk about just now, right? How do we create a better trade document environment where information is exchanged quickly and secure, right? So it's a lot of information exchange, right? Because you're trading from one country to another country. How do we ensure that platform exchange data as soon as a pickup has been made? So, or as soon as the booking has been made, a customer's booking has been made, we can tell the next country, like let's say I'm shipping to Singapore, hey, this is the information that we need to process. This is everything. Any concerns? And we hope that doesn't come to a human sitting there to check all the details. We need to take the knowledge that we have and build system. But I'm not saying that humans are not important. Please don't get me wrong. We will need people behind to make sure that we handle the exceptions. So I keep telling the team, I keep saying that we need to be able to upskill, because there's going to be a time when the system doesn't work. All right. And COVID-19 is a perfect example where a lot of system has collapsed. We try immediate work from home and we found out that we don't have enough VPN bandwidth. But how do you then change the mode that you work in to create an environment that is more adaptable? And therefore, in the adaptability into the standard, I'm not sure, logistics cost or whatever we hire. And the key thing is that how do you innovate processes? And that would be a very big key. So earlier you introduced me. I started as a process engineer in FedEx. And a lot of time when I said I was an engineer, I can tell you 9 out of 10 people thought I was repairing the aircraft. And I said, no, my job as an engineer was to improve on processes. How do I link two dots together? How do I connect points together to make things more efficient? I think the role of an engineer to solve this kind of problems, right, be it a computer engineer, be it an industrial engineer, I think this is going to be very prevalent. So using the problem-solving skill sets to see what is our limitation with the current process and how do we unhinge it and really let it, soar up. I think that's the key that I would say, right? Every process we need to dismantle, ask, is there a better way to do it? Is there a less labor-intensive way to do it? Is there a more repeatable way to do it, right? These are all the questions that I think will definitely be asked in the next 10 years. And we'll go through that.
Yeah, I think Tien-Long is right. I think if we look at from the outside in perspective, right, I think one of the things that people focus these days is about the digital experience. Yeah, because if we look at the service point of view, right, end to end, if we look at the FedEx as an example, yeah, I think when the customer places booking, do we still need the customer to call in the call center this day? Or can they log into the system or application and do it by themselves? And even for the FAQ preparation or the shipping document preparation, they can also do it from the system. Even when we build the invoice to the customer, can we do it online? This kind of thing, hold end to end. I think business operator these days, right? And they need to think of, how can they have the customer, enjoy the digital experience that they decide. Yeah, this is a very important message, to the business operator these days. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, leading now to the conclusion of the webinar. Mr. Woon, maybe just 3 words about to identify FedEx right now and in the upcoming months. Would you like to share maybe 3 keywords that are the signature of the offers, the services, the reliability of FedEx with our partners and participants today?
Well, I only have 1 word, which is, and I will explain why I say this, is actually the purple promise. And you might be thinking, why did I say the purple promise? If you just have a Google on the FedEx, the purple promise is a commitment that all of us made, the oath that we have taken to make every FedEx experience outstanding. And I say this honestly, that this is what drives me and my team every day, and the whole group as a whole, as we prepare for peak season. So if you just Google us now, we have been striving hard to prepare for the Christmas peak, year-end peak. And it's because we know that every package is destined for someone. And it could be a magical experience, and we do not want to make that a bad experience. So that's the reliability, and that's the promise my team and my colleagues across the globe, all the way to my chairman and founder, that we have for every one of our FedEx customers.
Thank you. Thank you for your commitment to us, and thank you for participating into this webinar. As you know, also for the participant, FedEx has recently joined the Thai Italian Chamber of Commerce. So stay tuned for a new offer to come. My office and I, we are very happy to connect you with FedEx. for any request. And also, I would like to thank our amazing guest today, Mr. Tien-Long Woon and Mr. Sitthichai Mahajuntanaporn, for being with us today. Thank you a lot for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, everybody. We will upload the webinar in a couple of days, and it will be available on the TICC YouTube channel. If you need anything, please feel free to contact us. We will try to share any information possible to reach FedEx office and their representative. Thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Sitthichai, and see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.